We have had a lot of buzz around Pokemon lately, and not just with Pokemon Legends EA, but also with our general discussion about the overall quality of the series. It's part of why so many of us are enamored with the teaser trailer for Legends EA, which didn't really show us much of anything, so now all we can do is speculate and look at behind the scenes info to really grasp what kind of legacy Pokemon is aiming for in the near future. Pokemon Legends Arceus was arguably the highest quality Pokemon game since Black 2 and White 2, releasing to critical acclaim both by fans and critics alike, as well as extremely high sales. While games like Let's Go, Sword and Shield, and even Scarlet and Violet raised eyebrows, even with their large number of units sold. And look, it's clear now more than ever that Pokemon fans are yearning for that genuine Pokemon experience of their dreams. And whether or not they've gotten that is up for debate depending on who you ask. Among all this discourse though, another game was released. One that catered to both Nintendo and non-Nintendo fans alike, who, like many of us, wish to rekindle their love for the creature collection genre. The craziest part? This was a massive success. Palworld released in an alpha state to general acclaim and ginormous sales figures. Like I said, this game isn't even finished yet, but many already consider it to be the monster collector they've wanted for years, and they felt Game Freak and the Pokemon Company just weren't delivering. While it is a creature collector, the gameplay of Palworld is vastly different from Pokemon games, with the closest relative being Pokemon Legends Arceus, and even then, the goal of the gameplay loops do not share a mutual interest. No, instead, Palworld focuses a lot on real-time combat, life sim aspects, and versatile crafting. If this is more your style or not will definitely vary from person to person, but it is what it is, and Pokemon is what it is. The two can coexist as far as I'm concerned, but apparently Nintendo feels differently. As I'm sure you've already deduced by now, by the title of this video or maybe even some news articles, Nintendo is suing Palworld's creators, Pocket Pair, over, quote, multiple patent infringements. Now, what these infringements are have been wildly speculated. Some people are assuming it's over some of the recent patents Nintendo released on Justia patents regarding several movement-based mechanics in Pokemon Legends to be improved in Pokemon Legends EA. I actually talked about these patents earlier this week on the channel as they correlate to what we can expect out of ZA next year, but when it comes to the topic of these being relevant to this lawsuit, I do think it makes perfect sense. The timing certainly lends credibility to this theory as, like I said, these patents just made their way to the public this week, and now Nintendo suddenly announces a lawsuit against Pocket Pair for copyright infringement on multiple patents in their game Palworld? Wow, that was a mouthful, but it's not hard to believe that these two are connected. People online have been quick to point fingers specifically at patents for how to implement mounting objects, aka riding Pokemon or pals, as well as functions for aiming and throwing, quote, a fighting character that fights based on the third operational input, end quote. Which essentially means holding a button to aim and releasing the button to throw out a Pokemon or pal to fight an enemy. As mentioned in Nintendo's patents, the creator of the specific function of sparking encounters is Kazumasa Iwao, the director for Pokemon Legends Arceus. But the implications of this don't really make sense to me, and quite honestly would be catastrophic if Nintendo did win this lawsuit, because if you're like me and you play many different games, you'll notice a lot of them do in fact share similar mechanics and even button inputs to perform them. What a terrible precedent this would set if any game developer simply patents an entire mechanic or use of buttons to perform said mechanic. We'd see far less games being made because, well, once every idea is run dry, then no one else can really put their own spin on them or even take them further unless it's the holder of the patent itself, which in turn would also likely lead to far worse games being made because then competition would be non-existent. Maybe this all sounds confusing to you, but to summarize, if this really is what the lawsuit is about, then we should not be cheering Nintendo on in this court case. I know, I am very much a Pokemon-centered YouTube channel, so it may come as a surprise for you to hear this from me, but I'm also not a dummy, and I doubt any of you are either. Believe me, this sort of precedent is not something any of us should want, as it would be a net negative for everyone except corporate executives. All is not bleak though, as these particular patents being the subject of the lawsuit is purely speculation at this point. Matter of fact, no one besides Nintendo knows what patents they're about to sue for. And we know this because, well, Pocket Pair even responded to the lawsuit today. And in their statements, they made it pretty clear they have no idea what to prepare for. The biggest takeaway from their response is this quote here when they say, "It is truly unfortunate that we will be forced to allocate significant time to matters unrelated to game development due to this lawsuit. However, we will do our utmost for our fans and to ensure the indie game developers are not hindered or discouraged from pursuing their creative ideas." Now, for those of you who don't know, Pocket Pair is also a Tokyo-based company, just like Nintendo and just like Game Freak. And yes, they are an indie studio, and honestly, I'm usually on the side of the underdog. But there is a version of this where maybe we should be cheering for Nintendo. And that is if this lawsuit was actually over the designs of the PALs in Palworld. As many of you know, this was a topic of hot controversy when Palworld's alpha was released, and it's clear to see why. Just look at these comparisons. It doesn't help that based on some developer statements from Pocket Pair alluded to the possibility that they used AI to slightly alter existing Pokemon designs to use as their own. Not all of the PALs are like this, but the ones that are seem so blatant, and it's, in all honesty, truly disgusting to see. Pokemon designs were created by real artists, and these PALs that are clear AI alters are just mooching off the hard work and talent of real people who deserve the monetary rights to their creations. If this is what the lawsuit is over, then I'm all in on Nintendo's side. Palworld wouldn't even need to take their game down, they just need to remove and replace the clearly altered Pokemon from their game before the official release. Matter of fact, it's very plausible that is what Nintendo is suing over. They actually just won a lawsuit a couple days ago for $15 million against the Chinese game company responsible for Pocket Monster Reisu. Yeah, that's the actual name. And saying that out loud sounds way different. But yes, this game included ripped-off versions of Ash, Pikachu, and more, so Nintendo does love to do these sorts of things in bulk, as that seems to be the structure in which they galvanize their legal teams, and that's possibly what we're seeing them accuse Palworld of here in regards to Pokemon designs. But what do you all think this is? I know you're probably very heated one way or another, but please comment your thoughts in the most respectful way possible to each other below so we can all have a civil conversation about this. We are all friends who love video games, I promise. Afterwards, check out more of my videos like this one here where I discuss the patents from this week and what it means we'll be seeing in Pokemon Legends EA next year. I've been johtojonny, and I'll catch you all there.